answer questions.
What's that?
I don't answer questions.
Okay. How come we're here causing a problem?
I don't answer questions.
Okay. What's your name?
I don't answer questions.
I'm trespassing this property, so you
I don't answer questions. What are you going to arrest me for? And what am I being trespassed for? And what? This is public property.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
It's a public office.
Look it up.
Okay.
It's a parole office.
Okay, you can leave. If you don't leave, trespassing because this business wants you
This
to
is
leave.
not a business. This is parole.
Okay, but if you don't leave, you're going to jail.
Here, I'm going to jail. I'll bond out here in about 10 minutes.
Why?
No, you're going to arrest me.
Thumbs up. Turn around, face away from me.
Why?
He says I'm trespassing.
You know how to do this.
Where'd you get arrested for?
Because he's trespassing and doesn't want to leave.
Am I in that
This is
building?
public property, not private property, sir.
Incorrect.
Can I get your name?
Don't give him my name. Here's
No.
my phone.
Can I get your name, officer?
Officer Loudermilk, badge number 220.
And yours, sir?
I'm not giving you my name.
726. They won't let you out of jail until you identify yourself, so you're going to sit for a little while.
When you're arresting me,
Trespass.
any need, but I stayed at a Holiday Inn. You know, so it makes me pretty smart. I'm being facetious, sir.
No, you're good, Mr. Conde. Look, let me start this conversation off with I'm not concerned about the case, right? Dude, you have. I mean, look, man, you got 14,000 reasons to be there, right?
Yep.
You get my point?
Yep.
And so, I'm not concerned about the trespass. I think that your frustration is perfectly reasonable. And so, I don't really have a whole lot of intentions prosecuting this case.
Right.
But at the same time, I want you to know that now that we have this case, you have, some access to some resources you probably didn't have before, specifically my office and me.
Yes.
And so what I'd like to do is I'd like to try to help you figure out what we need to do to get that money. And I'd like you to acknowledge that, even if it is a public property, and I've done the research, that you can be trespassed. Now, there's some limitations to it. It's not the same as, a private person living in a home trespassing somebody. But it is constitutional. It does fall within the constitutional parameters. And so I think that the facts of the case, it make it very clear. You were there for a very specific reason. You weren't getting the answers that you wanted, and you got frustrated. And I don't think that's inappropriate. I think that's reasonable, right? Refusing to leave after somebody tells you to leave is where we kind of have to draw the line.
But again, and just, did you see where they arrested me? I wasn't even in the office. I was on the curtilage. And I'm bringing up the word curtilage because, and you're talking, I'm glad. I'm trying to reach out to some other people. I'm looking under deprivation of rights, right? And I'm saying, and you're right, I was there for a lawful reason, right? And they had my paperwork in hand. I got a video of the whole thing. I don't know if you've seen it or not. And yeah, I wasn't bitter. I wasn't upset. They were the ones that made it more. And so the turnaround, again, there's a whole video. I wasn't frustrated. I didn't act out. The man asked me for my information. I don't know if I refused. I don't remember because I didn't, even if I did refuse to give him an ID, which I didn't, right? And I didn't. No, actually, a state trooper gave them my name, right? Which he had. That being said, that's trivial. Getting away from that, what I'm saying is, I was on the curtilage outside. But that being said, I got a little statue, clicking something. I'll bring that precedent up right now. Sorry, you caught me off guard. What I'm saying is that I was there lawfully, right? And they asked me to leave, but they had to have some kind of premise that I was breaking the law, which I was not, right?
So
the guy
incorrect.
came out, the guy was rude. He was harassing me. So let's do the turnaround. Now, you guys were willing to persecute me, right, for a so-called infraction, but yet the video actually shows that people came out and told me to leave somewhere I was allowed to be there lawfully. These people came out acting under color of law. I mean, they all stated that they work for the state. So they should have known that public property, unless I was doing something mischievous, which I wasn't, right? And I'm sorry, I'm willing to go into trial on this, and I'm willing to even do a bench, right? Because I'm saying I know for 100% that I did nothing wrong. I wasn't in there auditing, which I have a First Amendment to do. I was actually there doing lawful business. And the fact that they came out, took my paperwork, they even made copies of my paperwork without asking me my consent. I asked them for my copy back because they never got permission to copy anything that I handed them. But getting away from that, that's all on video too. I'm getting back to the fact that these people honestly believe. So they should have known that public property, unless I was doing something mischievous, which I wasn't, right? And I'm sorry, I'm willing to go into trial on this, and I'm willing to even do a bench, right? Because I'm saying I know for 100% that I did nothing wrong. I wasn't in there auditing, which I have a First Amendment to do. I was actually there doing lawful business. And the fact that they came out, took my paperwork, they even made copies of my paperwork without asking me my consent. I asked them for my copy back because they never got permission to copy anything that I handed them. But getting away from that. You guys sent him, right? You guys, and so I shouldn't say like you guys passing the buck, I understand it's an office thing. What I'm saying is that this in a way is a dining dash, right? And I'm saying that because you guys kept saying, and I mean, really, I record every phone call, tell you guys I'm recording it, you guys record, right? But what I'm saying is that like going into a restaurant, if you guys did this under false pretenses, right? And even if you're just slow playing me for my money, right? And it's not my, right?
So I don't have anything to do with the money. I don't
Well, it
supervise
doesn't
this
even come
case.
down. The money's trivial now. What I'm saying is, I want these guys arrested for sending. And what I'm saying is that we can. I'm telling you guys that you guys are acting under color of law, right? You
So
guys are mad. And
If
so
you
I
believe
asked
a crime
you.
has occurred, contact the
Well, no,
Columbia
I'm
County
saying
Sheriff's
that.
Office.
Are you guys part of this crime?
Where's our paperwork?
Yeah, and I need my paperwork back.
We're calling the
And
authorities.
did you guys make copies of this? Yes, I did. Okay, and what is your name? Paul. Did you ask me for my permission to make copies of this? Did you have my consent to make copies of this? Did you tell me you were going to make copies of this?
That's stealing.
That is stealing, and I want my copies back. You do not have the right to those copies, and I will sit here till the police get here to give me back, because you never asked me my consent. Now, if you would have asked me my consent, right, that way it's documented that you were giving copies, it would be different. And that's what I'm saying, because I'm by the book. And I'm saying you should have told me that you were making copies of my paperwork, and that you had copies. That way when we go into court.
Hey,
Yeah.
we're trying to help you here.
Well, no, what I'm saying.
Bring it down a
No,
notch.
No.
I'm saying I am not
Bring
breaking.
it down
I am
a
not
notch.
breaking the law.
Leave
No,
my
I will
office.
not.
No,
I am not.
this is
Okay.
this is
I'm
not.
gonna call the
This
police.
is
You
public.
trespass.
No, this
You
is
can't try-
public.
This is public
Leave
property.
the. No, it's
Yes,
not.
it is.
Leave the office
We
before I
call-
call.
Who pays for this?
Okay.
Who pays for this? We do.
Right? To come out and harass me and make me feel unwanted. Right? Don't I have a right to not be harassed by people when I'm allowed to be somewhere lawfully? Isn't that called disturbing the peace? So, I mean, that's what I'm saying. I mean, so isn't the turnabout now, if they harassed me and they were disturbing my peace where I was allowed to be on legal, lawful property owned by the government doing something lawful, and they came up and harassed me, were they not being disobedient? And you know what I mean?
Okay.
I'm just
Let me,
saying. I mean, that would be disorderly conduct to act the way they did in a public venue when they were harassing me being somewhere I was allowed to be lawfully.
Okay, so
I'm just saying. I mean, God, that's the way I look at it.
and I think that's, I get where you're coming from.
So I'm
And
saying, I
agree
mean,
with
do
you
we
that
have,
you were-
you're saying that I am talking to you, and I'm saying, now that you know that I was allowed to be there, you've acknowledged that I record all my calls, that being, you're not being shielded. What I'm saying is that you've acknowledged that I had a right to be there, and you're saying because they asked me to leave, what would have been their premise to ask me to leave? Did they have a
No.
legal right to ask me to leave if I was doing something lawful there?
at some point, they can ask you to leave. If they can't solve your problem for you, and they tell you to go, and you don't go, you are no longer lawfully there.
Oh, okay,
So,
but that
yes,
being said,
you
what
may-
would be
you
their
may have-
premise of asking me to leave?
Give me a minute.
Yes.
Let me just go through this for you. So when you arrived there, you were there lawfully. When you entered into the building, you entered it lawfully. You asked some questions, and wanted the money, and basically told them that you weren't going to leave until you got your money. At the point where they said, look, we don't have, we can't give you what you're asking for, you need to leave. If you decide to stay at that point,
No, they
you
had
are
my
trespassing.
they had my paperwork, right? They were not releasing my paperwork. And that was in their hands. They bring that out after the fact, right? They had to give it to my wife. I walked out of the building, right? I was outside. I was arrested outside of the building. I don't know if you know that or not, but I wasn't even inside
do.
their building. Okay, so where was I trespassing at?
Let me explain to you the difference between first-degree trespass and second-degree trespass. You are not being, you are not being charged with first-degree trespass, which is inside a building. You are being charged with second-degree, which is on the person's property.
Who
So
owns
if
the
you're
sidewalk?
on the curtilage-
Who owned the sidewalk in front of the buildings?
No, it has nothing to do with your.
No,
Location.
it totally comes down to it. I mean, if that is a
No, it
public
doesn't.
format, and I was standing there, again, how could they, so you can tell me if I'm in front of the courthouse on the sidewalk, you can tell me to leave the sidewalk?
No, it has nothing to do with the time that the officers arrived. They're not saying that you were trespassing when you were standing on the sidewalk. They say you were trespassing before that, when you were in the property and when you were on the property.
Okay, and
refusing
did
to
the
leave.
officers witness that? With their
Doesn't
own
matter. I got other people who did. I don't need an officer to witness the
then I'm saying let's go to trial. I'm okay with that. And I just
All right.
you know what I mean? I'm
All
saying
right.
if you think that you can actually prove your allegation that because they
Definitely.
asked me to leave, you're telling
Yeah.
me because they asked me to leave that they have to have a lawful reason to ask me to leave.
Okay.
What if I just wanted to hang out? You're telling me I can't hang out there all day long if I wanted to?
No, that's called solicitation and loitering.
Oh, no, okay, what is